It was really scary, but I felt like it was a God thing, and I resisted it.
I didn't know how I was going to do it or what I was going to do. And I just said, I'm going to believe in me.
You know, it's going to be a lot of times where you just want to give up.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Dontel Antonio, and this is the Content Aesthetic Show, where we take health and wellness professionals and allow them to share their story so they can impact the world and serve in an impactful way. And today's guest is a very special guest. When I seen her story, I said, "Oh wow, wow, that's different. It's unique." It's different than what we normally see. And so I said, I want to hear more. And I want you to talk about it more. And I want you to share more. So introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Savannah. I come from a background of technology, and through facing some challenges in my own health and the health of my family members, I decided to open up a wellness sanctuary here in Atlanta. It's an 8-acre estate that has a cabin, it's riverfront, and it has all the bells and whistles because I wanted our community to have access to what I consider to be the best form of healthcare, which is holistic health.
Yes. I love that. So take me back a little bit to like, where were you at when you thought about, let me go buy 8 acres? First of all, majority of people don't even have 1 acre, but you went out and you bought 8. Like, where were you at, like in your life, as in your practice and your business and employment? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm a technologist. So I've worked with some of the largest technology companies in the world: Google, Amazon. I mean, you name it, I've worked with them. And I was an executive at those companies. You know, I wasn't creating shipping labels or anything. I mean, I'm working on their networks that are hundreds of millions of dollars. And so there was a lot of anxiety and stress involved in that. And I started to suffer in my health in a lot of different ways, from womb wellness to things like adrenal fatigue, anxiety, stress. And I had to do a lot to get homeostasis back into my life, to get balance back in my life. And I was already a vegan and vegetarian for since 30 years. So I'm thinking, like, why am I not feeling amazing? Because my diet is great, you know. I mean, I did have some times where I would eat poultry or fish, but for the most part, I was eating well. My weight was under control. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I did a couple of things. I started to add herbs to my diet, and I didn't know much about that, but I had an encounter with herbs in my college years. But then I heard about a retreat in Atlanta, and I was like, I don't want to go to, be around all of these people, and it's going to be all woo woo. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm just not into that. But I said, I really want to do something different. I want to do something natural. And I didn't feel like the traditional medical system had the answers for me.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I went to this retreat. And what I found there was a lot of beautiful sisters who welcomed me, who seemed to really care about me, who gave me insights that I had never heard about, different foods, different herbs that I had never heard about that I could implement into my daily regimen. And it was just a transformative experience. And then 6 months later, I did my own retreat for 22 women around the country. And then I started to incorporate all of these wellness principles in my home. So I have a yoga studio, massage, sauna, and all those things at home. And then when my sisters and mom would come, I'm like, well, this is kind of my private thing. And so then I said, I want to open up something where I can invite people to have this experience.
Yes, I love it. What was your mindset like to be an executive and leave to start your own? Like that right there, I know it's like for a lot of entrepreneurs leaving whatever they doing, that guaranteed to go and believe in themselves be the hardest thing. What was that transition like for you?
It was really scary, but I felt like it was a God thing, and I resisted it for a while, honestly, because my career was really popping.
Yeah.
It was really, I'm like, God, why would I do this? Because I know what it takes to start a business. It's a lot of ups and downs. It's a journey.
Yes.
It's a lot of things you cannot predict.
Yes.
You cannot plan it thoroughly. It's no way to know what is going to happen when you're starting a business.
Yes.
It's going to be stress too.
Yes.
You know, it's going to be a lot of times where you just want to give up. So I'm like, God, why would I do this? You know, I've got an amazing career. And, you know, I felt like God was telling me, like, so you think that you built this career? Like, so you think that this was all for you so you can be balling out of control?
Yeah.
You know, and you don't think that this can't stop. And then, you know, like a little while later, I got sick. I got sick, so sick that I had to take off of work for a whole month. And I had to start the research to find out what was wrong with me. And one of the things was the EMFs all around me from being in front of, because I had computers all around me.
Yeah.
Like 5 computers, 5, 6 monitors. I was leading a sedentary lifestyle, which is very damaging. But where I come from, if you work from what we call the neck up, you're not even working. Like, that's not even work.
Yes.
I'm like, I could do this forever, you know, but
Yes.
I didn't realize that. And God showed me, like, you know, this could end, you know?
Yeah.
So let's think about doing those things that I said. And so I just had vivid visions of doing this. And so I just followed it, and it all just started working.
I love it. This similar to me, right? 14 years ago, I was a server, and it wasn't fulfilling. And I said, man, I'm tired of this. And I got fired for insubordination because I spoke up. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to go do my thing. And so I picked up the camera, and I didn't know how I was going to do it or what I was going to do. And I just said, I'm going to believe in me. I'm going to bet on me.
Exactly.
And so this 14 years ago, so Google and all of that wasn't like it is today, right? And so I'm like, all right, let me just go wherever God tell me to go. One thing about me, every time he say move, I move. Even if I'm on top, I move. And so even for us transitioning into the medical field and helping with content, man, we was killing it. Like, we was helping so many entrepreneurs grow and scale. And then one day I realized, I said, what I'm doing is dope, but what I could be doing is better. And I was doing big events. I'm talking 6-figure plus events. And I had hundreds of people coming from all around the world to hear me speak. And in one of my events, I failed to realize, I got so like excited about the back end of the events that I said to myself, man, I got the wrong people in the room. Not realizing that it was people sleeping in their cars to hear me speak for 3 days. And I'm not aware that the hotel is $300-$400 a night. So they couldn't afford it, but they needed what I had to give. And so at that moment, I realized that my alignment was off.
Okay.
And so I took a 45-day sabbatical mental from social media, from all of my high-level masterminds, from all of this stuff. And I said, let me recalibrate.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized, I said, hey, if we want to scale this to $100 million company, what I have to do is I have to niche down and serve the people that want to serve others.
Right.
And so we was going to go into Black lawyers. And then I spoke at this event, and it had like 400 med spas and aesthetic professionals in it. And I told him, I ain't gonna lie, I told him, man, skip all the mentorship, skip all of that. You supposed to be focused on more serving, more of this. You shouldn't be doing this work. We should be doing it. And if you want help, just, come to the back or something. I don't know. I don't got nothing to sell you.
Okay.
Why so many people came to the back? And at that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, we about to pivot.
Yeah.
But we had an entrepreneur season. So while we pivoting, it was 8 months of figuring it out, building it out. So we come from making 6-figure plus every month to barely making payroll for 8 months, because he said it's time to transition.
That's the journey of leadership, right? Going out there and being a pioneer in areas that, it's still forest.
Yes.
Like Paradise Park was still forest. And I love what you said, because, My grandmother had a double mastectomy. She had a tracheotomy. My grandfather had a brain tumor and died after brain surgery.
Yeah.
My father had cardiovascular disease. My sister was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. They wanted to cut out her colon. My mother had a hysterectomy and suffered from mental health. I can go on and on with that. And I think we all can. Like, by the time I was 13, I didn't have grandparents on either side. And you know, I used to think, oh, this is happening to my grandmother, but she's going to the hospital. She's going to see the doctor. This is happening to my grandfather, but he's going to the hospital. He's going to see the doctor. But I know it's a pattern that every time after they would see the doctor, they would die, you know? And I'm saying die, but what does that really mean? My grandmother was not there to advise me. I didn't have that history to add to my lifestyle and my knowledge base. And so that's why, you know, my mission is to inspire women, thereby families, to fulfill their destinies through engaging in holistic living. And so you exposing our community to this is so important because they didn't know where to turn. It was my doctor. My mother say my doctor so much, I thought he was part of the family or something. You know what I'm saying? You would think that they really believe that the doctor, and it's not against doctors. They have their place or whatnot, but we as a community have our place as well. We have to be in control of our well-being.
I think the biggest thing is like when you notice this and when we came and we thought about it, it's like, but what made you take action? What made you say, oh my gosh, my doctor part of the family, this, they said the doctor's part of the family, but what made you take action?
I mean, well, I'm that type of person, first of all, you know, you know, don't talk about it, be about it. You know, that's how I operate. And I had the means to do it. You know, God equipped me with the means to do it. So how could I withhold? I mean, I really wanted to withhold, you know, it was a large financial investment and it's still a large financial investment. But like you said, I bet on me.
100%.
And that was my, you know, that was something I struggled with. Like at first I was like, God, I want to just be like the people on Shark Tank. I want to invest in someone else's business and their dream. And again, I just felt like I was saying to me, like, sweetie, no, you're not going to invest in somebody before you invest in yourself first, because you can't control what they're going to do. You can control what you're going to do. And I mean, it's also an oasis for me. You know, it allows me, this is my work. The holistic living is an art form. And this is how I express my art. At Paradise Park, having a farm there, like all of the gardening and all of the foods, like I grow amaranth there. You know, I grow lemon balm there. I grow St. John's wort. I grow squashes and cucumbers. Like that's an art form. To be able to put your hands in the soil and then this whole jungle comes out of it, you know, it feeds you, you feed it. It's creation. Just amazing.
I love that. And how was it for you to be like, okay, I'm gone, I'm about to come do this, but let me be able to do this and make it a business? Like, how did you learn that business proportion of it?
Well, just like every business,
trial
you
and error.
Just gotta get your butt out there and throw stuff against the wall and see what works. Do your research, you know, and that's why you have to be well funded. I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, you know, my husband of 22 years supported me through this process. My sons helped me. There's other people in my life who helped me, mentors that I listen to and watch and that inspire me. My prayer and spiritual life, all of that had to come together to make it possible. And to be clear, I still work in technology. I have a technology business and I've just decreased my client load, which was a sacrifice.
I don't think people understand that word sacrifice. They think sacrifice, like, or even people that you employ or anything, they think that it's like the sacrifice is something small. No, sacrifice is everything. I'm talking about whatever, it gotta go. If it ain't if it ain't helping the benefit of the growth of the business, it got to go.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing because I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, if you figure out how to get a 6-figure,
Yeah.
let alone multiple of them, you like, I ain't never letting this go.
Man.
I ain't gonna never let this go.
Yeah.
And then to say you're gonna take some of that money that you earn and put a great chunk of it
Yes.
in something that's not fully proven out. I mean, I did do, I've studied business. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been a part of business incubators. I pitched to
Yes.
venture capitalists. So I did have some knowledge, but you cannot, I don't know if you could ever have enough knowledge for a business because it's just unpredictable the way that things are going to happen.
I call it lifelong learning.
Exactly.
You never gonna stop. Like, learn something new every day.
Yes.
And I felt like probably my first 10 years of my career, I was hustling. I thought I was running a business, but I realized looking back, it's like, no, you was hustling. And you had a incorporation, but you wasn't running a business.
Oh yeah.
And when I realized that, I said, oh, we gotta change. We gotta do some more.
Yeah, I mean, incorporating business practices and standardization and methods of scaling and building a team over and over again. You start building it. This block falls, that block falls. You got to rebuild that.
Django.
Yeah. So it's for real. It's not for the faint of heart. But one thing I heard somebody say is that they believe that we as humans were put here to be problem solvers because from the time we're born to the time we die, we just presented with problems.
Yes.
And if you are going to be a leader, you got to be the kind of person that says, if you have a problem, come see me because I'm a problem solver. I'm an expert problem solver.
That's it.
And that's what you are. As a business person, as a leader, you're just an expert problem solver. Nothing comes across your face that you don't feel like you can't find an answer to.
Yes, I love that. And so what would you say to a wellness person getting started in the business and might not have that mindset to keep going?
The people are going to give you the energy, the impact you're making. Because again, I just talked a lot about business practices.
Yeah.
Honey, that's not going to mean nothing. Miss Taylor got to call you and say, baby, you helped me.
Yeah.
Baby, you made a difference. Like this lady, she wrote me a message one time and she said, I woke up this morning and after I thank God for my life, I thank God that I met you. You changed my life. You taught me how to eat to live. You gave me the courage to do X, Y, and Z. That's it. That's what it's about. And the money will come from that.
Yes. We talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that's just getting started, and it's like, you got to kick out the money first. It don't come overnight. It ain't coming tomorrow. You got to put the money to the side, like investing in visibility. You got to stay investing in visibility. That's why content's so important. You got to keep investing, and it might not come back tomorrow. It might not come back this year. It might take a couple years, but you got to keep investing, keep believing, keep getting seen in order for something to shake.
Exactly. Something to shake, like you said.
So what methods are you using to promote your retreat?
So right now, one of the things that I really had to understand is, okay, I thought that I was going to start this business, and because I had some financial wherewithal, I would just throw money at Facebook ads and things like that. And what I recognized is to start with organic growth.
Yeah.
And then apply those things to help it scale.
Yes.
So I'm utilizing our free promotion, which is social media, but I'm using it in a relationship oriented way. So I am not just broadcasting, but I'm also reaching out to those folks who show interest, I'll say. And I'm using some methods like that. And then I'm also, there's some books out there, 10X,
Grant Cardone.
Yes. And then there's like the, Alex Hormozy's stuff.
100 million offer.
Yes. And then I follow, people like Stormy Wellington.
I was just talking to her and Annetta Powell.
Yes. The network marketing way that they operate. I've been learning from those folks, and I apply some things like that because it's not always about having 300,000 and 1 million eyes. These people started off small.
Yes.
And something that Stormy always says is, everything big was once small. So
Yes.
I'm starting off small.
Yes.
I am just dealing with small groups of people and growing that methodically. And then I plan to take what works,
Yes.
standardize that, and scale it.
Yes, I know people that got millions of followers but can't sell a $10 t-shirt.
Mhm.
And I know people with 200 followers that can sell millions of dollars worth of stuff.
Yes.
So I always tell people it's not about no followers.
Mhm.
It's about you understanding who you serving and using
Right.
content as a vehicle to serve, because you can
Mhm.
create that piece of content one time and it can serve millions of people, and it can go in places you ain't never seen, been, or ever been heard of in. And so that's why content is so important.
Yeah. You call yourself the content king, but content is king. Like
100%.
a lot of times I had to, I come from a generation that we don't tell people stuff. Like,
Me either.
we don't tell people what we thinking. We don't tell people like how we feel. Like all of that is like, you don't just do that.
Yeah.
And so I had to get used to being transparent, talking to people, and understanding that, I'm here to serve, like you said.
That's it.
And I'm just trying to share with you some things that may or may not be helpful.
Yes.
And I'm going to let God do the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? And
I love it.
He provides for me. And so, I'm taken care of regardless of what somebody does or doesn't do. But what you said about the content, it compounds as well.
Compounded interest
It
over time.
compounds, yeah.
I say you got to think about it. Content is like this. Your favorite artist that's dead and gone, you still watching their videos, you still listen to their music. So what that means is content gonna live even when you die. So it's like, why you not creating it? They say diamonds live forever. No, content lives forever.
Yeah. And one of the things, that's important to me is to have control of your content and your image.
Yes.
And we have that ability now. Back in the day when I used to be, behind cameras and things like that, it was just hard to be able to afford equipment, editing equipment, crews, and things like that. So you can create the content that you wanted to create. You can have control of how it was, presented and things, how it was distributed. And so, it's so important to have content. Even now, like showing it's hard to explain. What is holistic living? How do you explain holistic living? You know what I mean?
You
How
gotta
do
show
you
it.
show that, And so those are all of the things that people who are experts in content can help you do.
Yes. And our biggest thing is like building emotion and connection. And that's why I always tell people, be vulnerable. The more vulnerable you are, the more connection you build.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get on social media and all we see is the highlights, the prettiness. We don't see when entrepreneurs or when a person going up and down. But when you show that, people understand you and they respect you and they connect to you more and they want to champion you more. But a lot of times we be so scared to show it because we think they're going to judge us. First of all, they're going to judge us if we do or if we don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to help and pour into somebody like, oh yeah, I went through an entrepreneur season. Hey, this is what I did to get out of it. You might be going through one right now. This is what I would suggest you doing, is not giving up, not asking people all around you for advice. Won't get one with self. You know what I'm saying? And stop getting distracted by other people.
Yes.
And so I love it. So tell us what happens when they come to your 8 acres. Like, first of all, is all of the 8 acres all the way built out right now?
No, all of it's not built out.
Because I was about to say,
we have
like,
a nature immersion eco spa. Basically, nature is a backdrop. We focus on 3 pathways to holistic living: is internal work, external work, and environment. Environment is greatly overlooked many times because the average person spends over 90% of their life indoors in a box. We keep talking about get out of the box, but we live in a box. We stay in a box at all times. And God does not make straight lines and corners and things like that. If you look out in nature, everything has voluminous types of shapes and things like that. And That's a muscle. Looking at different spectrums of things, different shapes and colors and sounds, that exercises cognitive muscles and brings you more clarity. Like you said, you took that sabbatical and you took it for 45 days. That's amazing. But sometimes people just need an 8-hour sabbatical, baby. You're going to have to.
I have some unprogramming to do.
Yeah. To sit down and get some clarity. So that's one of the things that people do when they come. We have a retreat called Pause. It's a holistic living reset day retreat, right? So you don't have to pack up. You don't have to get your passport. You don't have to get it. You go take on all that stress just to get somewhere so you can sit down and then take the stress back on so you can get back home. As soon as you get back home, the stress has gotten back down on you again. So 25 minutes southwest of downtown Atlanta. You come to Paradise Park. You get vegan farm-to-table cuisine prepared by our expert chefs. You get riverfront dining. You get riverfront wellness experiences, like various wellness activities that are inspired by cultures like Thailand, Bali, and things like that, like herbal compress massages, extended stretch with loincloths and things like that. Oh,
that sounds like an experience for real. I love it. Anything that you want to share that was on the top of your mind?
On the top of my mind is, there's two things that's been on top of my mind lately. First of all, when I was working around the clock, hustling hard, grinding, getting all the bags, I had to recognize what good is all the bags if I'm in a box. You know, we wear overworking on our sleeve like a badge of honor. Oh, girl, I hustle. Oh, I grind. Oh, I'm up, you know, sleepers for suckers and all of that. And there is a place for it. There is a place for it. But there has to be a place for yourself also. Your self-care. All right. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing is that self-care is not a day. It's a lifestyle.
100%.
A lot of times we say, oh, my self-care day is on Tuesday. My self-care day is on Sunday. Dude, your body is working 24/7. You have trillions of cells and so many sophisticated processes going on in your body. Self-care is every day, baby. It's all day.
All day. Because if you don't put you first, who will?
And who's going to do all the things you doing when you gone?
Nobody.
Get them to do it.
Right. I love it. And I want to thank you so much for even your time, for your wisdom, for investing and believing in yourself.
Thank you.
I think that's the hardest thing. I tell people, when you got the courage to believe in yourself, you're a whole different type of person, you know, and to build something that can help rejuvenate and rebuild others is a whole nother blessing that I want to thank you for.
Yes, and thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. You could have been like, nah, I'm good. But now you came, and I want to thank you. Tell them how to follow you. Tell them how to be able to get purchase a ticket for the retreat and all of that. And
go to paradiseislife.net to find out about all of our upcoming events. Follow us on Instagram at Paradise Park ATL and also on TikTok.
All right, guys, this was another episode of the Content Aesthetics Show. I pray that you had at least one valuable tip that you can walk away with today to increase your business, increase your mindset, and increase your leadership. All right. Tune into the next episode. This is Dontel Antonio, and we out of this thing.